Call the regular council meeting to order for May the 7th at 7 o'clock. We have regrets from Deputy Mayor Colleen Smook. Looking for approval of the agenda. Just before we do, Councilor Matichuk, you circulated a picture. Do you want that added to Resolution 8.1?
What's the number of it? The first resolution on the agenda, yes.
The picture will be added as additional information on 8.1. Thank you. Motion to move the agenda as amended. Sorry? Yeah, motion to move as Councillor Byer, Councillor Wong, all in favor? Carried. Motion to adopt or move ahead with the approved agenda as amended. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Ron and Judy. Yep. Next up, we have presentations, delegations. I'd like to welcome the co-chairs of the Manitoba Winter Games, very successful Manitoba Winter Games, Murray Kissick and Sandra Ross Hitch. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Sandra. He's Murray. We're just here maybe just to do a little interim. We will not have our final report until the fall, until our final audit. But as Mayor has alluded, the games were very, very successful. Can we even say huge success for Thompson? But it wouldn't have been without the support of the city, the school district of Mystery Lake, our local friends of the games, and the contributors were over $100,000 worth of cash, over $200,000 worth of value in kind, and value in kind could have been from transportation of goods to if we needed coffee cups or coffee for our volunteers. For approximately, and that, as I said, our final numbers won't be until the fall, approximately $320,000 that came from local businesses and contributors to these games outside of what the city has done for us and the school district of Mystery Lake. Over the week, there was an economic impact study done. We don't have the results, but what we can share with everybody was there was over 400 surveyed, and not one of them was from Thompson. The survey people feel that this is going to be a true economic impact study for the city of Thompson, and we should have the results sooner than Steinbach did. Sport Manitoba feels that as long as the partners, there has been partners in town that have been sent surveys also and looking for information from some partners, approximately 3 to 6 months for our economic impact to come back. Additional to the economic study that was given, there was a survey that was sent to the 1,400 participants. And we were given that normally there's less than 100 people, 100 participants that reply to the survey. And for us, we had 650 participants take part in the survey. Most of the comments were positive, and I'd just like to highlight a few. Strong support from the community. By coming to watch the athletes compete, cheer them on. The atmosphere of the games were incredible experience. The community did a fantastic job, and the volunteers really cared about the overall well-being of the athletes. So these were just a few of the general comments after the survey that took place. So we can all be proud that the 1,400 participants, we had a positive impact on their experience here. Of course, we as the committee wanted to set some goals and some missions for the games itself. I guess we wanted to leave a lasting legacy to the community And one of them was realized by having over 850 volunteers that stepped up that week. They came from all walks of life. They came from different age groups, different ethnic background to make this community that event what it was. We can't say enough about them, and we hope, and we do hope, that we have engaged some enthusiastic volunteers that'll carry over to other projects and other groups that need volunteers.
Thanks, Sandra. Good job. The 2 months ago, 1,400 athletes and their coaches and trainers and everyone, parents and everybody else followed them up. Number 6 Highway, the majority of them came and appeared in Thompson, Manitoba at our facilities. They were not really sure about what to expect, but certainly when those phases, phase 1 and phase 2, when they left, they had nothing but great things to say. And I can reiterate that because at a Games Council meeting in Winnipeg that I was at 2 weeks ago, people that weren't involved with the games heard that I was at the Games Council meeting. They came, shook my hand, and said, well, heard it was great games, heard it was best ever, heard you guys did a bang-up job. A lot of positives about the community. Of course, I tried to say, well, you can always come up and see it at a different time of the year as well, because, you know, we have different things. It's really a 4-season type place, although we usually say it's kind of 2, but there's a lot of things to do there as well, outside of just the winter activities. So that was pretty good for me, is to have that happen, because that meant word is traveling around, and that's certainly the positive for it. For our part, we had a short period of time, as we alluded to before, when the city stepped in to take over from Verdun, who couldn't continue with the games in all good faith, and Thompson stepped forth, and Sport Manitoba had a lot of faith in us. We really jumped on it. It was like when Sandra talks about 850 volunteers, when they came through, and I'm not apologizing, I just never got to meet a lot of them because they were in various venues doing their job as they should have been doing, and that's what they wanted to do. And they were part of that process, and it was a wonderful thing to happen. In regards to the physical legacy that the Games is going to leave behind, due to the Friends of the Games and efforts that were done by Tim Johnson and his group, as well as some fundraising through Cy Rogoski, we were able to not only enhance what was presented by the multi-party agreement between Sport Manitoba and the city, but also a few other things. So. We also are going to leave behind aspects where we might see other clubs beginning again that we maybe already have, or maybe new clubs occurring that will go there. We look at the Burnaby Curling Club, an enhancement there. That's a club that's been going for a long time. Some things were needed, and then we're done there. In regards to the pool, some updates were done there as well on a continuing basis to keep that facility. Thompson Tumblers, which is a club that's been using the wellness center, some enhancements there in regards to the mats they'll be using to have it a lot more efficient for them and newer as well, so they can again host provincials as they've done already. The Badminton Club with the new poles and things at the high school will then be able to have official stats in regards to tournaments they have due to the more official poles that they had that were there and the use of those things. The Thompson Cross Country Ski Trail, rave reviews. Ed and Carrie Holland did a magnificent job out there working with the people from the city. And of course, they were pushed to host provincial events. You got to have this provincial up here. You should have this up here because of the facility and the upgrades that were done, along with the new groomer that Ed is utilizing. So that was a real good positive out of there. Table tennis. So that was a really good one. If anybody had a chance to go to Lavoie Nord, it was pretty intense. And then those tables were left behind. To use within the city at the schools, and so therefore table tennis club could be starting within the youth as well. Figure skating, minor hockey, ringette, all facilities at TRCC will be getting aspects a little bit later on once we know some final numbers. Mystery Mountain with a brush cutter that they lost in the fire that they had, and a wood chipper as well. We're able to hold a fantastic event with the amount of snow they could get down this particular year. And now there's thoughts again of ramping the club up again as they used to be in the Alpine Tour within the province. And there's thoughts of trying to do that again with some of the things that were left behind as well by Alpine Ski. So that's a real positive. And just a lot of other places where we see that happening, and within the TRCC as well, wrestling. Which we had at the high school due to certain coaches that were within the community. One of those came back with another team, and I was talking with him, and so we have a brand new wrestling mat, and one of those wrestlers, when he was in high school, Zilke, will be taking head of that. So there's a new start. The archery that was in the Artie Parker, we purchased 4 used archery butts, and those will now to start up an archery club, which we had at one time before. So a really good aspect in regards to that, to the tune of about $266,000 in regards to costs that we were able to incur and gather together, not only from the multi-party agreement, but also from those within the city through their kindness to the Friends of the Games. And so, and you can see some of those, you know, when you go to the Gordon Beard, see the bleachers that are there, the bleachers in the Wellness Center, you know, and the bleachers at the Norplex Pool. Others you may not even realize in regards to portable sound systems and water bottle stations that you would just think are just naturally looking that they're already there. So there's a lot that we're pretty proud of that's going to be there. To add to that on our side, we do have a Manitoba Games flag, a smaller version of the one that was flying outside the TRCC. We would like this somehow housed within the TRCC if that's possible. And we also have 2 banners that Sport Manitoba championed, and these banners, one is signed by all the athletes on the first phase, and one is signed by the athletes of all on the second phase. And I think that would also be imperative to have that up within the TRCC in the main lobby area somewhere so it could be displayed. So these are from us to you in regards to that. And I really want to just say again, as Sandra has said, the city employees in all aspects, and I went to Anthony and asked him for a favor. We worked it out with Chris Ettinger. And that was wonderful to get done. Just all the guys at all the facilities, the guys and girls were really good helping us and getting us anything we needed. And in regards to the snow removal that was necessary for the bus routes and other areas where we had the staging area, couldn't ask for anything better, above and beyond. The school district, Mr. Lake, with help that we got there as well, was phenomenal. And that includes Lavoie du Nord, who's not part of the school district, a separate entity, but they were just phenomenal in that as well. So we have a lot of people that we'll continue to thank, and we'll never be able to thank them enough. But I think over time, what is left from the games, which was a pretty fantastic one, and we still can't get over how well it was received and how well it went. And even the Sport Manitoba people are just so pleased that it was. And with a couple of locals on Sport Manitoba with Peter Conway and Marcy Halls Stronzinski, how wonderful it was for them to come home and see a games be so successful for them. They can't remember a 94, but they're going to remember the one that we had in 2018.
Any questions or comments? Kathy?
I just want to comment to the both of you and a thank you to Mayor and Council, because I was able to sit on the board committee, and thank you for your leadership at the board level that I was a part of. And to those 800 plus volunteers that you commented on, there are lots of AGMs and associations right now that have board openings. So stay involved within our community. Now that we have you, we have 800 people, do something different, get involved, stay involved within our city and these organizations, because we really do have a need for volunteers with many, many associations. So please, everybody, stay involved. And thank you to both of you. It was great. It was a great experience for me.
Councillor Wong.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for both of you, the dedication and good job, excellent job. And you just mentioned earlier, you said the final account is not done yet. So around fall times or springtime, whatever, right?
About when?
When?
Yeah. It depends on when we finally pay our last bill and that, and they're still coming in. So, and then it'll have to go out to the auditor. So we think, we're hoping September when we're back in the fall, that it'll have gone to the auditor and be back by then.
My other question is that, is there going to be another presentation at the end, again, and show, are we making money, or are we losing money, and where the fund going to be allocated to, and so and so. So I can't ask you any question right now because we both have no information.
Yeah, what Sandra's saying is in regards to other games that have occurred, for a winter game, September is about average in regards to when all the final aspects and the audit's been done, and we can give the final numbers. We are planning on coming back to give a final update in regards to the entire picture towards the games.
One final answer, who's the accounting firm that you guys use for auditing?
It goes, our financial person is Manisha, and Manisha will have to then, because she's a volunteer, she will have to give it to another auditing company, but that's up to her to do that. No. Well, she knows it, but we don't, so, okay.
Seeing none, I'd just like to, again, congratulate the both of you. One, Murray, thanks for answering the door. Sandra, thanks for Go for Coffee. But the leadership, as Councillor Valentino spoke to, the leadership that you showed from day one, from the first meeting to the end of the games and beyond, and still is bar none top-notch. And we want to congratulate you both for the commitment. I know it was a big commitment on yourselves, both time-wise and emotionally, mentally. It's a tough grind to keep everybody going in the right direction in a short time frame. But you did a fantastic job. And to add to your comments, Murray, I've been to Winnipeg a number of times, and in my meetings, and the first thing they say is I heard the games were fantastic. And these people weren't at the games; they just heard it from other people who were there. So the message is out there that we put on a pretty good games. So thanks again.
I'd like to leave these.
Yep. Yeah, just give them to Casper. Thank you. Next, we'll go to general inquiries. Questions? If there's questions from the general public, please come forward, state your name, and ask your question. Welcome.
My name is James Crawley. I have a question about the mining reserve fund. I was here a couple of sessions ago and I hear that we're going to ask for the $10 million mining reserve fund. So my question is, what kind of plan do we have if they do entertain us and give us any kind of money from that fund? Do we have a proposal or a business plan? Like something, a suggestion I would have is look into like a portable asphalt plant. We used to have one at one time. I'm not sure of the cost if we've looked into that, but I'd like to suggest if we do go and ask for that money, we have some kind of a plan.
Just to answer your question, the mining reserve fund has $10 million in it, as per the legislation that's in place. The parameters that the funds are available to mining communities that sustain either a mine closure or a reduced operation is to ask the minister, specifically Minister Pedersen, in regards to that. We've had a number of meetings. I've had a number of meetings with the minister, and the ask is not for the $10 million. The ask is for basically outlining the grant in lieu announcement that shows us a shortfall from in the next 4 years. The first year we normally would receive $6 million. We're going to receive 4.8 in this year. Council as a whole decided to, as it is their prerogative, to retain all of that $4.8 million. Our normal share is 4.2. The plan is that with the excess of $600,000, that $200,000 per year in years 2, 3, and 4 would be allocated from the council of the day to make up the coming shortfall, because in year 2, 3, and 4 we will be short $1.2 million in each of those years. So there's $200,000 allocated by this council to reserves for the next council, if they so choose, to allocate $200,000 a year over the next 3 years to reduce that $1.2 million shortfall to $1 million. And that's the ask to the province, is $1 million in each of the second, third, and fourth year. We've asked for $100,000 in this year to cover economic development costs. So right now it's to cover the operating costs, and then within the operating budget, council will decide where the expenditures would take place. We have noted your suggestion, but right now the ask is $100,000 in the first year, $1 million in the second, third, and fourth year.
So it's just to cover lost revenue instead of create new revenue.
It's just to cover lost revenue, but the next council will have to make the decision of what they are faced with, whether it is a balanced budget or whether they're in a shortfall of revenue, of which right now we are projecting a shortfall.
Second question, I have to sit down and then come back, or? Actually, I have two more questions. The rules that govern this meeting, is it Robert's rules or is it more of like a municipal act?
The Municipal Act, and we're governed by our organizational bylaw. The Roberts Rules are a guideline. Roberts Rules are a parliamentary procedure, and there are guidelines within that that help us move the meeting along. And your another question?
The final question is, I've been hearing, and this is I think, and I don't know, but I've been hearing that we've cut all summer programs out of the budget for the children of the community. I was wondering if that's true, and if it is, how come we haven't dug deep and looked into different ways of offsetting or helping to try and keep those programs alive?
So in direct answer to that, we did a public presentation of the budget, which we have resolutions this evening to pass the second and third reading of the levy bylaw. In that was identified a $470,000 in savings that administration recommended and council passed. One of the recommendations was to not offer the summer sport camp that we normally offer in the summer. That was a hard decision to make, but one that was included in the $470,000 cost-saving measures that this council put forward into the budget to go forward this year. Thank you. Any other questions from the general public? Please come forward, state your name, and ask your question.
Can everyone turn to page 35 of your agenda? This year. In the year 2015.
You're talking the financial plan?
No, page 35.
Not.
Resolution 2018-121. Okay, what I have down here is 2015, you have 487,000, and the number of count unpaid water utility bill is 747. And 2016, 505,000 and 724 unpaid account. And 2017, and it's going up to 602,672. And it go back up again 2018, and 685,000 and 690 unpaid account. So if we have 4,000 of resident taxpayer for this water utility, is almost 20% of the unpaid account. So my question to you is, now, according to what I read down here, all outstanding unpaid amount are rolled into the property tax, right? So with the shutdown of the refinery and the smelter, I'm sure a lot of people will be turned into unemployed. They will find difficulties to come up with the water rate, especially the Public Utility Board approved the 15% increase of the water rate. Now my question to you, Mr. Mayor, so besides roll into the property tax, do you have any other solution?
Rephrase the solution to...
To recover this water utility bill?
So in regards to the outstanding water bills, and you referred to the history over the last 4 years, this is a normal process that we go through where we have outstanding receivables, and we put notice to those ratepayers that they must pay within a time frame upon penalty or they would be placed on their taxes. So I'm going to go to Jenny just to clarify in regards to past practice and recoveries. This is the gross number, and normally in the amount of recovery once we go through this process.
Yes, once we go through this process, the amounts get added to the property tax bill, so they are recovered in September when their property taxes are due.
Ballpark figure, how many are paid prior to going to taxes?
I wouldn't have those numbers available right now.
I understand it's easy for the council here, put up the hand, approve this, and if the people further cannot to pay this outstanding tax, and they're going to go out for the tax sale, something like that?
Mixing two bills. You're mixing two bills. The utility rate and the bill that you get as your water bill is not a tax. It's a bill for service. Okay, and you're in control over and above the basic amounts of how much water you use. Okay, so on that side of the things, the utility, we have to provide a balanced budget. So whatever the costs are, determine what we have to charge in the upcoming rate structure to recover the operational costs and capital costs as well. And so that's separate. If a ratepayer is unable to pay that bill over a extended period of time, and I'll just go to Jen for what is the time frame, or is it 2 years that it gets kicked to taxes?
And it's usually the next year, so these are the utility bills from 2017. That are,
So to that point, to 2017, if you have an outstanding bill that you haven't cleared, it would be placed on your 2018 taxes, which is a normal process.
If the people are unable to pay, then you're going to go for a tax sale, is it correct?
The normal process is that whether it's property taxes or outstanding utility bills placed on taxes, if your property goes into tax sale, and your property has to be in tax sale you have to be in default for 2 years before your property goes to tax sale. Okay, and then once it goes to tax sale, if you haven't cleared it off or made arrangements to clear it off, your property could go into tax sale on a reserve bid for city's basics to recover our outstanding bills, or to an open bidder if it's higher than that amount.
So in other words, you're going to push the people become homeless. Thank you.
Second time? Third and final? Thank you. Move on to adoption of minutes. We have regular meeting of council, April 23rd, 2018. Resolution 2018-116, moved by Councillor Valentino, seconded by Councillor Ellis. Be resolved, the minutes of the regular meeting of council held in Council Chamber, City Hall, Thompson, Manitoba on Monday, April 23rd, 2018, be adopted as circulated. Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Ms. Matichuk? We'll do it again. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have a financial plan public hearing, April 26, 2018. Resolution 2018-117, moved by Councillor Valentino, second by Councillor Byer. Be resolved that the minutes of public hearing for the 2018 financial plan held in Council Chambers, City Hall, Thompson, Manitoba on Thursday, April 26, 2018 be adopted as circulated. Call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Now we're going into the Legislative and Intergovernmental Affairs Committee report, and we have the legal report before us. The chair, Deputy Mayor Smook, is absent or has placed regrets, so I would go to Councillor Valentino or Councillor Ellis to present. Councillor Ellis? Okay, thank you.
So for the Legislative and Intergovernmental Affairs Committee, reporting period is January 30th to May 7th, 2018. The committee members are Deputy Mayor Smook as the chair, Mayor Fensky, Councillor Valentino, and Ellis. And staff members Gary Sapatelli and Angela English. The mandate is the committee reviews the agenda for regular meetings of council, serves as council's representative to the City School Liaison Committee to research the programs and priorities of the other governments in search of opportunities for the city to partner, to coordinate the City of Thompson's lobby efforts, and to set the schedule for the reporting to council by committees. The League Committee meets every second Wednesday prior to the week of the council meetings. our lobby efforts. The Liga actively pursues partnerships with various provincial and federal governments to advance the city's priorities. Some of the meetings held with the ministers during the reporting period are Minister Wharton, Municipal Relations, met on February 14th and April 5th to discuss the grant in lieu, UCN tax assessment, regional hub funding, red tape reduction, Thompson 2020, and grant timelines. A conference call was held on April 27th, 2018 to discuss the municipal road program. Minister Cox, which is Sports, Culture, and Heritage, met on March 5th to discuss the grant in lieu and the Mining Community Reserve Fund. Minister Pedersen, Gross Enterprise and Trade, met on February 16th, March 29th, and April 3rd to discuss the grant in lieu, Thompson 2020, and the Mining Community Reserve Fund. Minister Cullen, Crown Services, met on April 5th to discuss the grant in lieu and the Mining Community Reserve Fund. Leader of the Official Opposition, Wab Canoe, met on February 15th to discuss the grant in lieu and the Churchill as a health hub. Minister Carr, Natural Resources, a conference call was held on March 5th to discuss, or March 1st to discuss the Hudson Bay Railway, Omnitracks, and the safety concerns of increased tractor trailer activity on the provincial trunk highway, our community and region. Conventions and conferences and meetings. Mayor Fenske, along with City Manager Gary Sepatelli, met with Amanda Nash to discuss the Thompson Sugary Drink Alliance on November 22nd, and a Sugary Drink Alliance meeting was held with businesses on January 23rd. Mayor and council met, as well as City Manager Gary Sepatelli attended the Go Manitoba Initiative on February 15th. Deputy Mayor Smook and Councillor Byer attended the Look North Indigenous Engagement Partnership Roundtable meeting on March 14th. Councillor Byer and Ellis attended the Truth and Reconciliation and the Road to Wellness Conference on March 21st. Council members and administrators attended the City School Liaison meeting on March 28th. Mayor Fenske, as well as Deputy Mayor Smook, Councillor Byer, and Ellis attended the Travel Manitoba Thompson Place brand session held on April 24th. A public hearing for the 2018 financial plan was held on April 26th. Mayor Fenske, as a City of Thompson representative, attended the Provincial Municipal Justice Advisory Committee meeting in Winnipeg on May 11th. Mayor Fenske, as the chair of the Provincial Contract Management Committee and the City of Thompson representative, attended the Federal Provincial Contract Management Committee meeting in Ottawa on May 14th and 15th. The Thompson 2020 project management team continues to meet to mitigate the impacts of the closure of the refinery and smelter in 2018 and the Birch Tree mine in care and maintenance. Downtown strategy. The City of Thompson received a one-time payment of $150,000 for 2018 from the province of Manitoba for the Community Safety Officer Program. The Aboriginal Accord. Steering committee meetings continued with the Thompson Urban Aboriginal Strategy to coordinate a strategic planning session in 2018. The Association of Manitoba Municipalities. Mayor Fenske, Councillor Byer, and City Manager Gary Sepatelli attended the AMM Mayors, Reeves, and CEOs meeting in Brandon on April 10th. Mayor Fenske, Councillor Byer, and City Manager Gary Sepatelli attended the AMM Cities Caucus meeting in Brandon on April 11th. Councillor Byer, as the Northern District Director, attended the AMM Municipal Officials Seminar and Trade Show in Brandon on April 12th. And Councillor Byer, as the Northern District Director, attended the board meetings in Portage la Prairie on January 25th and March 21st and 22nd, 2018. That's the report.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Just for clarification, in regards to the Provincial Municipal Justice Advisory Committee, that meeting will be held on this Friday in Winnipeg. I'm the chair of that committee and I'll be attending that. Followed up by next week as the chair of the Provincial Contract Management Committee. I'll be representing the City of Thompson and Manitoba at the Federal Provincial Contract Management Committee meetings in Ottawa on May 14th and 15th next week. With that, we'll receive the report as information. We're now going on to correspondence. We have a letter from Ron Schuler, Minister of Infrastructure, in response to our letter regarding the request for proposal for air services. Letters dated April 27th. Dear Mayor Fenske, thank you for your March 26th, 2018 letter regarding the request for proposal, RFP, that was recently issued regarding air services. Manitoba Finance is in the lead department and is in the early stages of reviewing how the delivery of air services can be improved. The RFP will assist the department in exploring alternative ways to provide essential air services while maintaining and improving existing levels of service availability, safety, and security. This effort is a part of Manitoba government's ongoing value for money analysis of the government programs and service delivery. I've copied my colleague, the Honourable Cameron Friesen, Minister of Finance, on my letter, so this his department is aware that the City of Thompson would like to be consulted on this matter. Again, thank you for your letter, and we look forward to your input. Yours sincerely, Ron R. Schuler, Minister of Infrastructure. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll receive for information. Next, we have a letter from the Board of Directors of Manitoba Government Newspapers Association in regards to the provincial government's proposed legislation. In regards to the letter itself, I'll paraphrase. Basically, this was sent to all municipal councillors and mayors in regards to a process that the province of Manitoba is moving forward with in regards to sections of Bill 8 and 19 dealing with mandatory public notices in newspapers will not be proclaimed at this time. This remains a very concerning issue for us, as it would be for all Manitobans. The sections left unproclaimed can be enacted by government at any time with a swipe of a pen and without notice of further consultation. They go on to talk about the role of community newspapers, and later on in the agenda, I believe. If not, if we don't have it as a resolution, we are sending a letter basically saying that we agree with the community newspapers' position, and that the province should reconsider the announcements in the papers, not having to do that. The issue that the City of Thompson raised through AMM and through AMM is also raised to the province of Manitoba was not with the public notice. It was more with the those that in the public hearing, where the weight of the community at hand is given the same weight as a single ratepayer. So in essence, a single ratepayer can stop a process when the community or the council is moving forward with a resolution or a project that is favorable to the community. The process can delay, especially in northern Manitoba, the process can delay an actual building season by having to go through that process with only one objector. So the ask from the City of Thompson is to raise the bar on objections. We're not opposed to hearing objections, but when there's only one objection in a community-wide issue, that seems to carry the same weight as the city or council's presentation on behalf of the project or issue. So a letter will be sent in support of the community newspapers that continue notices should be put in the paper. Okay, now we're going to resolutions. 8.1, a resolution to rescind resolution number 2018-081, being a resolution to approve the payment for the invoice received from WaterX Industrial Services Limited for repairs done to the water main on Station Nelson Road. There is the motion to rescind. There's also a photograph that's been circulated as additional information. Resolution 2018-118, moved by Councillor Valentino, seconded by Councillor Wong. What's point of order?
Point of order, as I am the one that gave notice for this rescind motion, I believe essentially I am the mover.
Again, explain the process in regards to resolutions and notice to rescind. Any councillor can serve notice to rescind a particular resolution or bylaw that's been passed. That was duly presented at the last council meeting. That generates a resolution. The resolutions are not owned by any individual councillor. The resolutions can be signed by any councillor, moved and seconded by any councillor. So the ownership of a resolution is a non-fact. The case is that the resolution is open to any councillor to sign and any councillor to second. So a motion to rescind, the notice is given by the councillor, but the subsequent resolution is not owned by that councillor. Second, the resolution was seconded by Councillor Wong. Whereas on April 9th, 2018, Council passed resolution number 2018-081, approving the payment for the invoice received from WaterX Industrial Services Limited for repairs done to the water main on Station Nelson Road. And whereas on April 23rd, 2018, Councillor Matichuk submitted a written motion to rescind resolution number 2018-081. Now therefore be resolved that Council rescind resolution number 2018-081, approving the payment for the invoice received from WaterX Industrial Services Limited for repairs done to the water main on Station/Nelson Road. We'll go to administration for support. Anything to add? No. We'll go to the mover, Councillor Valentino.
To add to this, as previously noted, you can all see that I've put other resolutions forward tonight. And this one that I have signed is, I won't be supporting this resolution. And I think when a resolution is brought forward, it's why or why not. So for me, as a councillor, I will not support this, as I believe for myself there has been no further need for any information, as this has been discussed numerous times, and I voted last time, and democracy ruled last time to have this bill paid. And this has been discussed at mayor's meetings, public works, development review, in-camera meeting of this council, the regular meeting of council where it was already voted on. We were emailed more information. There were the opportunity, and some councillors did meet with our director of development and the finance meeting. I believe the city of Thompson followed direction from the Water Services Board where the direction was given, and we are in the process of the cost recovery. So all of these issues, or all of these reasons for me, is to stand by my vote that I will not be supporting this.
Thank you. Other councillors? Councillor Bayer.
Really, just a question is, I don't understand the reason for the motion to rescind. And if it's possible to get a clear explanation as to why the motion to rescind was put forward, I would appreciate that.
Just for clarification, the motion to rescind is the opportunity or option of any councillor to bring forward. In regards to that, at this point now, this is the motion to rescind a previous resolution. So councillors can talk in favor or oppose the motion to rescind. So council is open to discuss why or why not they would support this this motion. Councillor Ellis.
I'll be voting against this motion. It's always important to pay our bills as a city of Thompson, and this bill has been paid. And there is a process to recoup our costs, which city administration have undertaken, and I trust city administration will follow through with that process.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Councillor Wong, then Councillor Manichuk.
You want to go first? Go ahead. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My reason of supporting the motion to rescind is simple. I want to get to the bottom. I'm going to ask a few questions. Hopefully I can get all the answers. Before I start my question, I must point this out. This is not a debate. And also I'd like to read something out to the public. Good afternoon. That's my, hold on.
Councillor Wong, we are speaking to the resolution to rescind. We are speaking to the resolution to rescind. There are no statements to be made. If you want to ask a question, but there's no statements to be made.
Fine. May 26, 2018 regular council meeting. You agreed to remove resolution 2018-081 and 2018-082 due to lack of information. From May 26 to April 9th, we're supposed to receive more support information or document to help us to make decision. But throughout this period of time, finance, DRC, and the public work all been cancelled due to no quorum. So, my question to you, Mr. Mayor, what new information did you receive and Ron and I didn't?
Just to clarify, the timeline that you outlined was 2 weeks prior to the resolution coming forward to council. It was pulled on the recommendation of administration. And subsequently, there was opportunities for information to be received. I received the same information that all of council received. It came forth at the next council meeting. It was discussed in camera with all council present, I believe, if I stand corrected, but the majority of council was here prior to that meeting where the resolution was again on the table for discussion, was duly voted on for approval, and that's the process. Mr. Chaptel, you want to clarify anything?
Yeah, just want to clarify.
Just he's clarifying a point I made.
identified May 26th. I believe he's talking March 26th.
Thank you, you're right. Okay. So basically, you received a memo from the administration, same as the one I received, about explanation how this thing happened. Yes. Okay? So my second question. The administration did show us, well, Ron and I, two pictures. One is before the curb stop turn off, one is after. Obviously, the pictures are clearly indicated it was the service line. And also the administration did say they have more picture that they can provide to us. My question is, where are those pictures? Can I have it, or the public can have it to look at it? Where's the extra more picture from the administration that say to Ron and I, beside the two picture?
Followed up at the next meeting in regards to the resolution and the payment. The majority of council felt they had enough information to deal with that at that time, and they did. And so it was duly moved and seconded and voted upon to pay both of the bills that were identified in two resolutions. So from that perspective, as Councillor Councillor Valentino has explained, that the majority of council felt they had enough information to make that decision, and thus make that decision.
So, in other words, they did see the extra picture than me and Ron. You not comment on that?
Information to make my decision,
Information, which is the memo that we received. Okay.
to make my decision.
Very good. My third question. I did see the invoice. One of the items is say soft digging, which is over tens of $1,000s. The required for soft digging must have a line location from utility department, which is Hydro, STICO, or MTS. My question to you, Mr. Mayor, can you show me or the public a copy of the permit from one of those departments I just mentioned earlier to support the Water X invoice requires soft digging?
As was explained at the last meeting with the background information, we reviewed the process with Water Services when we were made known that it was a main and not a service line. We were not part of the dig itself. That was completed by a contractor. And so based on that information, if Ms. McGinnis wants to add anything to it, based on that information, Water Services advised to continue with the repair and accept the bills accordingly. So Anthony, anything to add to that?
Speaking with Public Works as well as with our manager of infrastructure, is there's buried utilities in the area. So they believe that that was probably the proper way to proceed.
So I want to clarify again. So that means you yourself did not receive anything more than just the memo from the administration.
So just to clarify again, the role of council is to...
And the rest of the council, sorry.
Thank you for that clarification, because all of council received all of this information that you've discussed. Again, I want to reiterate, the City of Thompson did not perform the dig or the repair. We were advised by Water Services Board, who understood the situation now being a main as opposed to a service line, to continue with the repair, and that the contractors involved should bill accordingly. Any other questions?
I want to keep it to the next resolution. It's nothing to do with Water X. Water X is just to clarify it's a main instead of the service line. So I don't think I received any answer beside we all received the same thing. Due to that reason, I want to ask for the recorded vote, please.
Councilor Matichak.
First of all, what Councillor Wong stated is absolutely correct. We saw two photos, one before and one after the curb stop was closed off. It showed clearly that by closing the curb stop, the water stopped running. In the memo, at the time of the original resolution, the word that we get here from Public Works and Infrastructure is that was the case. The curb stop stopped the water from running. I believe our public works and infrastructure people, our public works people, know what they're talking about. They've been at this for a while. They're in the holes all the time. Now, what I brought here, this photo of a typical valve and line. For the sake of this discussion, the red is directed to the main, the blue is directed to the structure, whether it be a building, a house, what have you. Now, they have a key that they shut this off with. It goes down here and it turns that valve a quarter turn. Turning it a quarter turn shuts it off. Once that is shut off, the area moved or marked blue, which would be to the structure, would depressurize if it has a leak. There will no longer be pressure there because it's not being supplied from the main. And that is what happened. That tells anybody that wants to pay attention that it is a service line problem, which it was. That was established. Several days later, they come to Public Works and Infrastructure and, oh no, it was the main. Well, first of all, if it was the main, I would be questioning. Did they accidentally or intentionally disrupt the main in some way, hit it with a machine, who knows? Did they freeze it because the hole was open too long? And either of those cases, it's their responsibility, not ours. It was up to us at the time of the resolution to determine who was responsible for paying this bill. Whose bill was it? That was not determined. This, what I showed here tonight, shows that it was not our responsibility. It is not our bill. Nobody can change that. It stopped leaking when the valve was closed. It was isolated. The property was isolated.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Coletta.
Yes, I felt that there was evidence at the time that the leak was on private property, and so I voted against paying the Water X bill. The other thing that concerned me was that usually a water leak on a service line is $6,000 or $7,000. We were billed for $23,000. I voted to pay the contractor because he was hired by the city. So I'm going to support the resolution to rescind.
Question or comments? Councillor Beyer.
So the question I asked originally just got answered. I finally am understanding why this is such an issue. It was never explained quite that way. And so I guess I'm sitting here thinking if it was the Water Services Board who advised the next step to be taken during the process of repairing this, and if we have local contractors who would be out of pocket if the bill doesn't get paid, we have an obligation to, I believe, our local contractors. I still think the bill should be paid. If there is some kind of an investigation or inquiry or questioning to be done, I think that would be separate from this. I think the bill gets paid first, and then we have our question and discussion either with Water Services Board or whomever, but I think that should come. I really think the bottom line is our resident contractors should be paid, because for some of them, especially facing an uncertain future, one bill that doesn't get paid could really affect their bottom line and whether they can continue to do business or not. So, so for that reason, I cannot support the motion to rescind, because I think the bills should be paid, and I'm hoping they have been paid. However, if there is something further to investigate, I'm all for having that investigated so that in future we don't have this situation again, that it becomes a lesson that we learn from, if indeed there is a lesson to be learned.
Thank you. Any, no, anybody else? I'm allowing one time. Councillor Foley, you haven't spoke yet. Anything to add? Thank you.
I'd like to, but obviously I'm not going to get a chance to do your thing.
Vote. A call for the question. All those in favor for rescind? Opposed? It's defeated. Recorded vote, Councillor voting in favor, Councillor Matichuk, Councillor Wong, Councillor Kalata voting opposed, Councillor Byer, Councillor Ellis, Councillor Foley, Councillor Valentino, Mayor Fensky. Next, we have Resolution 8.2, a resolution to rescind Resolution number 2018082, being a resolution to approve the payment of the invoice received from Eric's Plumbing and Heating Limited for repairs done to the water main on Station/Nelson Road. Resolution 2018119, moved by Councillor Valentino, seconded by Councillor Byer. Whereas on April 9th, 2018, Council passed Resolution number 2018082, approving the payment for the invoice received from Eric's Plumbing and Heating Limited for repairs done to the water main on Station/Nelson Road. And whereas on April 23rd, 2018, Councillor Wong submitted a written motion to rescind Resolution number 2018082, and now therefore be resolved, the Council rescind Resolution number 2018082, approving the payment for the invoice received from Eric's Plumbing and Heating Limited for repairs done to the water main on Station/Nelson Road. We'll go to administration for support. Anything to add? Thank you. We'll go to the mover, Councillor Valentino.
I won't be supporting this motion for reasons that I stated to the previous motion. And I just also wanted to add that the vote and the democracy ruled on this last resolution, the previous meeting, that our resolutions that are brought forward are also discussed at our legislative and intergovernmental affairs meeting also. And I also would just think that as leaders, we have to be careful that we aren't implying or by any means to any of our local businesses that anything that they have done is intentionally, because I believe we need to be cautious of our comments. But I won't be supporting this motion to rescind.
You, any other questions or comments? Councillor Matichuk.
I will be supporting this one, even though originally this resolution I supported. I now support rescinding it. And the reasons are quite simple. Why are we not dealing with the owner of the property? We have a water utility. The only person signed up out of the people in that hole for that property is the owner. We aren't dealing with the owner. We're dealing with everything but. We gave them a shortcut to City Hall here. We'll cut the check. Where do you want it? Simple as that.
Councillor Wong.
I'm not done.
Is there a question?
Why would we be dealing with anybody but the owner? It's up to the contractors in that hole to bill the owner come to us and say, I want to be reimbursed for this reason. That didn't happen. They got the shortcut. Let me hold the door open for you and the checkbook out. We don't have any strings on this purse.
Matichuk, have some decorum. Mr. Sepatelli.
Just to indicate that this resolution that's attempting to be rescinded is for works by Eric's Plumbing that was done on the water main.
Councillor Wong.
Thank you. Earlier, I want to reserve my comment about this issue because this is the proper way to talk about it. And I like the Councillor Valentino comment about democracy process. That's how they use the democracy process. Get rid of the democracy. Let's start from there. Okay, Mr. Mayor, this is a very interesting point I want to point it out. From the memo that I mentioned earlier from my last resolution debate, the third paragraph, between November 16th and 20th, 2017, WaterX began repair to the suspected leak on their service line. On November 16th, WaterX exposed the curb stop, which was then turned off by the city. The water stopped leaking. Based on these observations, city staff believed they were correct that the leak was on the service line. The staff directed WaterX to continue with the repair. After several days of work, including hydro vacuuming and the subcontracting of excavations and pumping service, WaterX determined that the break was not on their service line, but was on the city new water main. So now, because of over there, as I asked Mr. Mayor before, do we have a picture to prove there was a water main? Obviously, we don't, right? Otherwise, you will say, hey, Councillor Wong, this is the picture, zip your lips. There's nothing there. So anyways,
Councillor Wong,
I'm not finished.
I know you are. Just wait,
Okay.
okay? One, watch your tone. Secondly, to infer that administration did not do their job in consultations with all those involved is wrong. They were consulted with everyone involved, including Water Services Board. Upon that, they advised council with the information. Please continue.
Anyways, regarding to the water sewer board, service board, I'm sorry. I don't think they have a right to tell us who to hire. And by the way, do we have a city, a union worker to do this kind of job?
Again, two things. The Water Services Board, and I'll have Mr. Sepatelli or Mr. McGinnis walk through in regards to the relationship with the Water Services Board and damages to the main, and why they were involved once it was determined it was the main. Go ahead, Mr. McGinnis.
Project funded through the Water Services Board. The Water Services Board then contracts engineers and designers who tendered the project or oversee the project. And then we had a water main supplier who put it in for us. Once it was determined that there would be a break on the main line, we contacted the Water Services Board. The Water Services Board contacted the engineers who issued a warranty certificate. So at that point, the city was under the impression that it was warranty work.
Yeah, just to indicate, obviously, Water Services Board. Council's passed a number of resolutions approving Water Services Board as a project manager on a variety of projects over the last number of years. The project that was done in this case here was done in 2016, of which the Water Services Board was the city's project manager on the project. And obviously, as the once determined that it was on the main, that's why Water Services Board was, we were in close contact with Water Services Board as part of this process.
Thank you. To your second point in regards to unionization employees, as you're well aware, we do have a Public Works Department and that do work both in Public Works and Utilities to repair water mains and service lines that are determined to be beyond a meter from a residential home. And again, as council is well aware, administration has made us quite aware in the structure and the process of this existing dig that was first deemed to be a service line failure, that a contractor was hired to perform that. Once it was determined on the main, then Water Services Board advised that the contractor is already there in the hole, please proceed, and we will offline discuss with the City of Thompson any cost recovery measures. Mr. Wong, Councillor Wong.
Interesting again. I strongly believe Water Service Board have do their due diligence when it comes to situation like that. From the explanation from the administration, say, look, because it's supposed to be a warranty work, and maybe we passed the limitation, the contractor refused to pay the bill, blah, blah, blah. But I believe Water Service Board will say, you have the contract, you have the union worker to work for the city, you should get them to finish up the work since it's main, it's not the service line. And I believe it's a whole bunch of cover up here. Record a vote, please.
Any other questions? Councillor Foley.
I have a question. I'm going to kind of refer to Councillor Matichuk's picture that he provided last time. So my question is was there any repair done by either contractor or the city to the service line itself? So there was a repair done to the service main. So if that was the case, if there was no repairs done to the service line itself, but there was a repair done to the service main, and we did the repair, hooked everything up, and there was no leak, would that not determine that the service line was in fact not broken and that wasn't the cause? Well, that's essentially what we were trying to get at before, right? So if we didn't have to do any repairs to the service line, but we had to do repair to the service main, we hooked them back up together, there's no leak, then the service main was the cause of the problem.
Determined by administration and all those involved that it was a main, not a service line.
But I'm actually, like I said, I'm just going by the document. The paper here, we've got, this is our service line. So we didn't do any repairs whatsoever to this service line. Correct? So as of right now, it's leaking. We did do repair to the service main, and
That's not the main, that's part of the service line, both sides of the valve. The pressure comes from the red side.
the service line itself was not repaired. So if the service line itself was not repaired, but the main was repaired, and then there's no longer a leak,
Closing that valve does not affect the pressure. Closing the main would. They didn't touch the main valve.
oh, my question was answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kalata, I believe.
Yes, I'm not going to support the rescind because the city hired that contractor and the city should pay their bills. However, as far as I know, there was no local investigation by the Water Services Board, and any advice they give us is based on the information we give them. So, as I say, I won't be supporting the resolution to rescind because if we hire someone, we need to pay them.
Not allowed, not allowing second time. Anybody else that hasn't spoke yet? Thank you. Call for the question. All those in favor, in a recorded vote? Okay. All those in favor? Opposed?
Duped once again.
In a recorded vote. Voting in favor to rescind, Councillor Matichuk, Councillor Wong. Voting opposed to rescind, Councillor Byer, Councillor Ellis, Councillor Kalata, Councillor Foley, Councillor Valentino, and Mayor Fensky. It's defeated. Now we have a resolution to approve the 2018 financial plan and a memo from the Chief Financial Officer, Resolution 2018120, moved by Councillor Valentino, seconded by Councillor Byer. Be resolved, the Council approve the 2018 financial plan. We'll go to administration for support. Jen?
By the province be passed by May 15th of each year. A public hearing was held on the financial plan on May 26th in council chambers as per the municipal act requirements. The 2018 mill rate for the city of Thompson has increased by 1.9%, which is consistent with the rate of inflation from 21.4 in 2017 to 21.807 in 2018. The overall residential mill rate combined, the city of Thompson combined with the school district increased by 1.13% from 39.978 to 40.431. The overall commercial mill rate has decreased by 0.55% from 50.478 to 50.201. The business tax rate has decreased by 5.6% from 4.24% in 2017 to 3.99% in 2018. The financial plan has been available at the front desk since April the 11th and is available online, as well as a copy of the public hearing presentation is available online for the public.
Thank you. I'll go to the mover, Councillor Valentino.
Comments on this, I'm hoping that everybody was able to watch the financial plan presentation on Shaw. It was presented, as Ms. Krentz said, to the public a couple weeks ago. And I'm definitely going to be supporting this. This has been a long process, and I appreciate all the help to get to the point that we have, and I'll be supporting this tonight.
Thank you. Council, any other questions or comments? Councillor Wong.
This is the whole entire process that we did for the budget. And I'm not going to go line by line because it's going to take up so much time. If anybody have any question, then they can always come and see me, and then I can explain line by line. And I will not support this budget because a lot of things that we did not come to the way we're supposed to do for the impact of the GIL fail. So I'd like to ask for the recorded vote as well. Thank you.
Other comments from council? Councillor Ellis.
I'll be in support of this. This was probably the most difficult budget deliberations this council has had. We made $470,000 worth of cuts, which were very necessary. And I think it, but it also sets up our the next council after the next election. It sets it up well for their first budget deliberations, and there'll probably be more additional cuts at that point. One thing I like about this budget is we're continuing with our infrastructure renewal. There'll be road renewal, multi-use pass. The milling program, which was successful last year, that will be continuing. And then along with our, with our utility budget, we'll be continuing with our water main renewal. So, a difficult situation, but I think we got the best budget we could out of this process.
Questions, Councillor Byer?
I think with every budget, there's parts that a person or a councillor or a resident will like and not like. And I don't think this budget is any different. I think as Councillor Ellis has mentioned, the fact that we've been able to maintain our capital projects, which are not coming from tax dollars, by the way, they come primarily from grants and reserves. The fact that we can continue to grow and improve our infrastructure in that way, I think is positive. There are certainly parts of our discussions that were difficult. We did reach them by consensus. Does that mean we all like all details or aspects of the budget? No, there's some things that I wish we didn't have to do, as I'm sure other people around this table feel the same way. However, when you do a budget, you do the best you can, given the opinions of the people around the table, reaching consensus, doing homework. Will it be any better next year, any different? We don't know until we get to that point. Are there other options? Maybe if we had the results or been able to tie up the grant in lieu a little faster, we would have had more time to come up with new ideas. Maybe. That's all speculation. I think given the parameters that we had, the time frame, we do have a sound budget, and I will be supporting it. Even though there are some aspects I really dearly wish we didn't have had to have included in there, I will be supporting it.
Any other questions or comments? If Council will indulge, I will be supporting the passage of the 2018 financial plan. And as councillors have discussed already, this is a long process. I want to thank administration for all the hard work and support in regarding to getting to those discussions. I want to emphasize the fact that we went through the process knowing that that this year the grant in lieu perspective was really a non-issue in that we would receive the 4.2 that we received last year. But through proper discussions and forward-looking to protect the next council or to mitigate or try to lessen the impact, and let me assure everyone on council, this council, and anybody who's thinking of running for council or any of the general public, the next 3 years will have difficult discussions on cost reductions and revenue increase. The reality of our budget is that 50%, approximately 50% of our costs are labor related. 17% are RCMP related. 57% of our budget is controlled in two entities. 67%. In the coming years, 2, 3, and 4 of the grant in lieu, the next council will be challenged to find $1 million shortfall of the grant in lieu that we normally would receive 4.2. We took steps by taking the 4.8 this year and putting into reserve $600,000 to soften that blow over the next 3 years the best we could. But council and administration will be challenged in the next 2 to 3 and 4 years to find those cost reductions or to increase revenues. We are currently lobbying the province of Manitoba, and I'm extremely disappointed with Minister Pedersen's response to date on the Mining Reserve Fund. Extremely disappointed the fact that he was in Thompson on Monday and would not meet with the council to discuss this high priority issue. A letter has been sent to the minister to relay our disappointment in that lack of commitment to discuss the mining reserve. We've been in discussion, I've been in discussion with the mayor of Flin Flon, who is faced with the same situation we are in the next couple of years. We are on the same page in regards to the mining reserve fund. It is created specifically for communities that are hit with mine reduction or closure, significant reduction in operations. Payments have been made to Leaf Rapids, Lynn Lake, Snow Lake, directly to their operating lines, to their economic development offices, to support the mandate of Thompson 2020 to diversify further, which is followed on the work of Tedwick. And to date, the province of Manitoba has allocated 0 funds from the Mining Reserve Fund. 0, with a job loss of 700 jobs in our community. The biggest job loss since the inception of the Mining Reserve Fund in 1995. And we have not received a commitment of any dollars to be sourced out of that fund. We will continue to lobby the government to work hard to soften the blow that will come to this community over the next 2, 3, and 4 years. And it will be a challenge. Can't sugarcoat it. It will be a challenge. But as with the games, we're up to challenges. And we have the people to do that job. So I have full confidence in our community that we'll come through this at the end of the day. It's going to be a lot of hard work. And we're going to have to ruffle some feathers. But in the interest of making this community a sustaining community for many years to come, that's the job that we have to do in our continuing term as this council, and that will be the challenge to the next council for the next 4 years. So with that, call for the question and recorded vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Voting in favor, Councillor Byer, Councillor Ellis, Councillor Collada, Councillor Foley, Councillor Valentino, Mayor Fensky. Voting opposed, Councillor Matichuk, Councillor Wong. It's carried. Next, we have a resolution to approve the transfer of outstanding utility invoices to taxes. A memo from the project specialist finance. Resolution 2018-121, moved by Councillor Foley, second by Councillor Byer. Whereas the Municipal Act, Section 252, Bracket 2, states a charge referred to in Clause 1, or Bracket 1, Bracket A, may be collected by the municipality in the same manner as a tax may be collected or enforced under this Act. And whereas Clause 1, Bracket A deals with the powers respecting works, services, utilities, and states, 252, Bracket 1, a municipality exercising powers in the nature of those referred to in Clauses 250, Bracket 2, Bracket B, Bracket C, and Bracket E, may set terms and conditions in respect of users, including Bracket A, setting the rates of amounts of deposits, fees, and other charges, and charging, collecting them. And whereas the City of Thompson has been unsuccessful in attempts to collect the water utility revenue, now therefore be it resolved, the Council approve the transfer of outstanding utility invoices for the following utility accounts contained in the attached schedule. We'll go to administration for support. Anything to add? Jen?
Yes, just that this is an annual process of transferring the outstanding utility bills to taxes. These outstanding amounts, once transferred, will be included with the 2018 tax bills. Any payments received between now and the tax bills being due will be applied against the outstanding amounts.
Over to Councillor Foley. Council, any questions? Councillor Wong.
Thank you. When I read the memo, it's kind of terrified me because you look at the number of 2015 is $480-some thousand. 2016 is 500 over thousand. 2017 is 600 over thousand. 2018 is going to be $700,000. The graphing is showing me is increasing people that owe the money. It's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. I can interpret such a way is it people cannot afford to pay the bills? Or you think people are purposely not to pay the bill for the city to put into the tax to penalize them in the future? Yes, I understand this is the bylaw, which is 2012, I believe, or 2010. The previous council and mayor approved a bylaw to put all this outstanding invoice to the property tax. I have a hard time because I elected by the public here to help them to fix the problem. But I understand again, this is a democracy process. Only one voice. I can't do much about it. And I would like to ask for a recorded vote, please.
Councillor Collada.
Yes, I'd like to ask administration through the chair, what percentage of these uncollected water bills are as a result of unresolved high meter readings that I've had a situation where someone phoned me and they were on vacation for about 6 weeks and their water bill was $1,200. So there must be a percentage of these that are unresolved issues with water meters and high water bills, and I'd appreciate knowing what percentage that may be.
I'm assuming we don't have that information right now, but I'm sure we can get it for you in regards to a breakdown of outstanding utility bills and where we have a reason we can provide that. Councilor Valentino.
Comments. This was discussed on April 30th at the Finance and Admin Committee meeting, the whole process and some of the questions that were asked tonight. So unfortunately, if you would have attended, you would have had some of these answers before tonight, because the Finance and Admin Committee has been meeting on a regular basis. Thanks.
Question to Council. Councilor Byer.
Just want to point out that even though the dollar value has risen, the number of people or businesses, whatever they are, with outstanding amounts has actually gone down.
Just want to respond to Councilor Valentino's statement, since she is chair of that committee, Finance. I have never left a Finance Committee meeting yet where I was enlightened.
Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Voting in favor, Councilor Byer, Councilor Ellis, Councilor Collada, Councilor Foley, Councilor Valentino, Mayor Fenske. Voting opposed, Councilor Matichuk, Councilor Wong. It's carried. Next, we have 8.5, a resolution to approve the water treatment plant first amending agreement, and we have a memo from the city manager. Resolution 2018-122, moved by Councilor Byer, seconded by Councilor Ellis. Whereas on December 12, 2016, Council approved resolution number 2016253, authorizing the signing of the transaction agreement and supplementary agreements between the City of Thompson and Valley for the transfer of the water treatment plant. And whereas the transaction agreement identified a closing date of December 31st, 2017, and operational transfer date of January 1st, 2018. And whereas due to the fact that the issuance of Public Utilities Board Order number 49/18 was not received until April 12, 2018, the closing and operational transfer identified in the transaction agreement could not occur. And whereas there is a need to amend the transaction agreement to reflect a new closing date of May 10th, 2018, and a new operational transfer date immediately following the closing date, now therefore be resolved, the Council approved and signed the first amending agreement to the transaction agreement. We'll go to administration for support. Anything to add?
Resolution and memo is self-explanatory.
Thank you. We'll go to the mover, Councilor Byer.
I'll be supporting this. This would have come to us a lot sooner had we been able to get the Public Utilities Board approval sooner. So.
Any other questions? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Now we have a resolution to accept the offer of Manitoba Water Services Board between the Manitoba Water Services Board and the City of Thompson respecting the water and sewer main renewals, and we have a memo from the Director of Development Services. Resolution 2018-123, moved by Councilor Byer, seconded by Councilor Collada. Whereas on October 30th, 2017, Council passed resolution number 2017-229, requesting Manitoba Water Services Board assist the City of Thompson with the city's water and sewer main renewal program, and whereas Water Main Services Board has identified $250,000 for the City of Thompson and requests a resolution from the city to access these monies to be used for wrap-up costs associated for Phase 1 works and engineering and design works for Phase 3 works. Now therefore be resolved, the Council accept the offer between Manitoba Water Services Board and the City of Thompson respecting the water and sewer main renewals. We'll go to administration for support. Anything to add? Mr. McGinnis?
Manitoba Water Services Board recommended that the city pass the resolution to access these funds, and the $250,000 is at a 40% share.
Council, any questions? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution to approve Deputy Mayor Smook attendance at the Look North Steering Committee. Resolution 2018-124, moved by Councilor Valentino, seconded by Councilor Ellis. Be resolved, the Council approve the attendance of Deputy Mayor Smook at the Look North Steering Committee in the PAW, Manitoba on May 14, 2018. And be further resolved that attendance at this event be borne under the terms and conditions of Bylaw 1897-2013. We'll go to administration for support. Anything to add?
Yeah, just indicate obviously this resolution is put forth for insurance purposes. All costs incurred of Deputy Mayor Smook attending this meeting in the PAW are borne by Look North.
Thank you. We'll go to the mover, Councilor Valentino.
I just feel it's very important that we're at the table for this, especially with everything going on right now with the Omnitrax and the whole Look North strategy.
So any other questions? Seeing none, call for the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution to approve Operation Red Nose 2018. Resolution 2018125, moved by Councillor Collada, seconded by Councillor Byer. Whereas Safety Services Manitoba has authorized to manage the Operation Red Nose program in Manitoba, whereas Safety Services Manitoba is requesting the City of Thompson be identified as the host to operate the local Operation Red Nose organization campaign in the City of Thompson, and whereas the City of Thompson will take on all responsibilities of organizing and implementing the service, now therefore be resolved that the Council approve the request from Safety Services identifying the City of Thompson as the host organization and entered into a contract between Safety Services of Manitoba and the City of Thompson for Operation Red Nose 2018. Go to administration for support.
Yeah, this is an annual housekeeping resolution that's brought forth every year for the City of Thompson to enter into an agreement with Safety Services Manitoba as the host. Obviously, we have a local organizing committee that really undertakes the boots on the ground and operation of the program to operate. So really, this is an annual resolution that's brought forth the council every year.
Thank you. We'll go to the mover, Councillor Collada.
Yes, this organization has operated successfully for many years in Thompson at no cost to the city. They do a worthwhile service, and I'm happy to support it.
The question, all those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We're now moving into bylaws. This is the second reading of bylaw 1964-2018, Water Treatment Plant Capital Requirements Reserve bylaw, and we have the bylaw for support. Resolution 2018-126, moved by Councillor Collada, second by Councillor Byer. Be it resolved that bylaw 1964-2018, being a bylaw to establish a reserve fund for the purpose of water treatment plant capital requirements, be given second reading. Go to the administration for support. Anything, Jen?
2018 utility rates through the PUB Order 49/18. This bylaw will complete the process of setting up a capital reserve for future water treatment plant requirements.
Thank you. Go to the mover, Councillor Collada.
Yes, I believe we should have a reserve for this. I'll be supporting it.
Question, all those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Now we have a third reading of bylaw 1964-2018 and a recorded vote. Resolution 2018-127, moved by Councillor Foley, seconded by Councillor Valentino. Be resolved the bylaw 1964-2018 be given third and final reading and that it do now pass. Go to administration, anything to add? Go to the mover, Councillor Foley. Council, any questions? Seeing none in a recorded vote, all those in favor? Carried unanimously. Voting in favor, Councillor Matichuk, Councillor Byer, Councillor Wong, Councillor Ellis, Councillor Collada, Councillor Foley, Councillor Valentino, and Mayor Fenske. Next, we have the second reading of bylaw 1969-2018, the levy bylaw. We have the bylaw and a memo from the CFO. Resolution 2018-128, moved by Councillor Valentino, seconded by Councillor Ellis. Be resolved that bylaw 1969-2018, being the levy bylaw of the City of Thompson for the year 2018, be given second reading. We'll go to administration for support. Anything to add? Will the mover, Councillor Valentino? Council, any questions? Councillor Wong?
I don't think I want to spend more time to debate about this resolution, this bylaw, because everybody already make up their mind how they're going to vote. So, record a vote, please.
Councillor Matichuk?
I will be voting against the second reading as well as the third, quite simply for this reason. We keep going deeper and deeper into the public's pocket for money. We saw the budget of the school district of Mystery Lakes. They lost $600,000 due to us not giving them any of the GIL money, and still they maintained a 0.25% increase. Our increase is 1.9%, approximately 7.5 times more of an increase than the school district of Mystery Lakes. It's unacceptable already.
You, Mr. Septelli.
Just a question, quick clarification in regards to the recorded vote. With the fact is that third reading requires a recorded vote. Does Councillor still want to record a vote for second reading?
Yes, please.
Just to clarify Councillor Matichuk's comments, the increase year over year on the property tax from the city combined, or the city perspective, right? $41 on the annual tax bill of a house assessed at $200,000. In a recorded vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Voting in favor, Councillor Byer, Councillor Ellis, Councillor Collada, Councillor Foley, Councillor Valentino, Mayor Fenske. Voting opposed, Councillor Matichuk, Councillor Wong. It's carried. Now we go to the third reading of bylaw 1969-2018, the levy bylaw, resolution 2018-129, moved by Councillor Ellis, seconded by Councillor Byer. Be it resolved that bylaw 1969-2018 be given third and final reading that it do now pass. Administration, any support? The mover, Councillor Ellis.
7, so we're close to inflation with 1.9% increase.
Thank you. Council, any questions? Councillor Matchuk.
All I had to say is needlessly deeper into their pockets, I will be voting against.
Councillor Wong.
We did have a discussion throughout the deliberation, but we cannot get to what we want or what I want. And I did explain about why I have to vote against it, because the status quo is about 1% 1% is come to about $100,000. We managed to save $400,000 from spending expense, and we also have $600,000 more from the GIL. So we're talking about $1 million. So why do we need to increase the tax just because of you don't feel comfortable without having tax? So again, I agree with Councillor Matachak about basically we are taking money out of the taxpayer pocket and put in our pocket, reserve or saving for future in case we need it. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to clarify Councillor Wong's comments, 2 points. The $470,000 that was reviewed by administration and accepted by all of this council was a cost reduction. The $600,000 that he alludes to and adds that to make $1 million tax savings that he alludes to is false. He knows quite well that the $600,000 is placed in reserve for future councils to offset the loss in the grant in lieu in years 2, 3, and 4. So again, a misleading statement regarding the financial. Councillor Valentino.
I just wanted to make a few final comments on the third reading of this levy bylaw. Is that I guess it kind of frustrates me or worries me greatly that there's a continuous voting against 4 years of a budget. If you aren't going to take part of the whole process, then I guess you do vote against it. We had 2 city school liaison meetings as going through this budget process, which I'm sure we all know which councillors didn't show up for. And we also had employee budget meetings prior to starting this budget process. And we also present to our employees first, and we listen to their comments. And I'm sure you can assume which ones councillors didn't show up to that. I believe our employees are our greatest asset. So for those of us that took part of this budget process from day one to now, I thank you, and I'll definitely be supporting this.
Any other councillors? Councillor Wong.
I believe Councillor Valentino comment is irrelevant to this decision I make. Again, I'm not misleading the public. So we have $1 million put aside.
Councillor Wong, you're again repeating misleading information. Again, I caution you to state the facts.
How about this? Go to City Bid and call me a liar again.
Councillor Wong.
Go ahead.
Councillor Wong,
Go ahead.
relax.
This is your practice.
Councillor Wong.
Maybe we should look into
Councillor
the city
Wong.
bids.
Again, statements are being made that are false. Okay? I clarified the 2 statements regarding the $470,000 and the $600,000. You know quite well the budget process. And you know quite well that budgets are reached by consensus.
Loud
By
doesn't
consensus.
mean you're right, okay? You speak loud doesn't mean you're right.
Am I speaking loud? I don't think so. Nice try, though. With that, close debate. All in favor? Opposed? Voting opposed, or voting in favor, Councillor Byer, Councillor Ellis, Councillor Collada, Councillor Foley, Councillor Valentino, Mayor Fensky. Voting opposed, Councillor Matachuk, Councillor Wong. We're now going to the Mayor's report. This is for the time frame of April 24th, May 7th. Along with City Manager Gary Septelli, met with Michael Wilkie from Via Rail, as well as council members and City Manager Gary Septelli attended the Travel Manitoba Thompson Place branding session on April 24th. Along with council members and administration, held employees' budget meetings, and along with Councillor Ellison administration, met with the TUAS Aboriginal Accord Steering Committee on April 25th. Along with council members and administration, the public hearing for 2018 financial plan was held on April 26th. A conference call was held with Minister Wharton on April 27th. attended the National Day of Mourning memorial service on April 28th, along with council members and administration, attended the Provincial Economic Growth Summit on April 30th, along with Councillor Ellis and administration, met with the TUAS board again on May the 2nd. The Bi-Leaky Thompson 2020 conference calls continue. The water treatment plant meetings are held on a quarterly basis. Various committee meetings were held: Development Review, Finance and Administration, Legislative and Intergovernmental Affairs, Public Works and Infrastructure. A mayor proclamation: by virtue of the authority vested in me as the Mayor of Thompson, I hereby proclaim May 7th to 11th, 2018 as Mental Health Awareness Week in the City of Thompson. And lastly, I just want to talk briefly in regards to the resolution that has fallen off in regards to the change in the number of councillors for the upcoming election. I just want to again reiterate that the City of Thompson was in position to reduce the number of councillors through the Municipal Act and through the budget deliberations. It was discussed. It was furthered to the minister responsible for municipal relations in regards to the charter that was not aligned with the Municipal Act. The province advised us that they didn't have time in this legislative sitting before the election to change the charter so it matched the Municipal Act. Therefore, it doesn't allow for this council to reduce the number of councillors as a cost-saving measure in the upcoming election. That doesn't mean that the province has provided us a placeholder in the upcoming legislation sittings that will allow the charter to align itself with the Municipal Act. And once they are aligned, a future council may or may not discuss the reduction or the increase in size of council, because the Municipal Act and the Thompson City Charter will match. And so just to advise an update on that. With that, we'll call for councillors attending on city business. Councillor Byer.
Well, you already mentioned the place branding that was posted by the Chamber of Commerce and put on by the Travel Manitoba. In terms of the committees that we serve on as liaisons, I left on everybody's desk a copy of the quarterly report from the Thompson Public Library, so I hope you take that home with you. Just like to also mention the tremendous success of the Relay for Life, and to also mention, of course, Councillor Claudia as in the Survivor Walk. I noticed also, I was on a team, but we didn't have a council team, but I also noticed that Councillor Wong and Smook also attended. Also wanted to bring up the Boreal Discovery Center, which Councillor Kalata actually serves as a liaison, but I just want to mention they had two people from F&D Design Changes in Thompson this week from Calgary to take a look at doing some, I'm not sure what the proper term is, window dressing, but just so you know what the caliber of this is the same company that did the creative work, the appearance for the Journey to Churchill at the Assiniboine Zoo. So it's some top-notch, something exciting is going to be coming our way that way. And also congratulations to all of the organizations who did so well at the trade show. I was really pleased with the number of people who stopped by the Lions Manor 55 booth, and as well as the others. So.
Council reports. Councilor Manichuk.
I'd like to say that I attended both the Public Works and Infrastructure Committee meeting and the Development Review Committee meeting, at which both occurrences, I asked many questions pertaining to item 8.1 and 8.2 on today's agenda, and met nothing but stonewalling. What I believe was a very, very poor example of leadership. When a councillor cannot get questions at a public meeting, it was pathetic to watch for me and others.
Any other questions or comments? Motion to adjourn? Did you have something to report?
To say thank you to Casper for our City of Thompson booth at the trade show. We put a lot of hours in, and to the councillors that took their time there. I think it was a good success for us as a city.
Motion to adjourn. Councilor Valentino, Councilor Fuller, all in favor? We stand adjourned. Thank you very much. Oh, and I want to thank Paul for all the jet sweaters. Go Jets, go.